Good morning, this is Dr. Ara Dukmajian with Prime Coral, and I'm going to talk to you today about how to use the in-tank Prime Coral treatment called Prevent RTN. Prime Coral has currently two products available. One is a coral dip, Stop RTN. The other is an in-tank treatment, Prevent RTN. Prevent RTN is very effective at treating the protozoan parasites that cause RTN and STN in corals, specifically Philaster lucinda and Philaster guamens. Prevent RTN is an in-tank treatment. It is reef safe as long as you follow the directions to the T and do your calculations properly for your actual water volume and base your dosing on your actual water volume, not just the size of your tank. Keep your skimmer running so that water remains oxygenated. You can actually treat your system with fish in it very safely, which I've done many times, and I have hundreds of customers that do it all the time. When you get your Prime Coral Prevent RTN, it comes in a 1 ounce bottle. There are larger sizes available for larger systems. The box contains a syringe, a bottle of the treatment, an air line, which you'll attach to your syringe, and your instructions. I recommend going online for the instructions and following them online. To do that, just navigate your computer to the Prime Coral website, and on the top you have your treatments option button as well as your Prevent dosing calculator. So Prevent is the in-tank treatment. We'll click on this and you'll land on a page that will ask you to input, first of all, the shape of your tank. Most people have rectangles, and remember, you have to go through the steps to calculate the actual water volume in your sump as well as your tank. And if you have multiple tanks on your system, you want to add all these calculations up. You want to do one for each tank. You include the width in inches, and this is the actual width of the water column. So you're going to use your water column, not the outside of your glass or acrylic. You're going to use the inside width and the inside length, and then you're going to measure from the top of the bottom of the tank up to the water line. Okay? And then you're going to have prompted to put in how much rock work you have, and their options are no rock work, light rock work, or medium heavy rock work. And then you'll get the actual water volume here. You add those up for all your tanks, and the dose, the initial dose for Prevent RTN is 1 milliliter per 10 gallons of actual water volume. So you go ahead and open your bottle, and using your syringe, you're going to draw up the proper amount in milliliters, and then you're going to take your syringe with your initial dose, and you're going to want to dilute it in water. I use this bucket. I fill the bucket up halfway, and I use a drip line, and I drip it directly into my overflow. And you're going to want to drip it into your sump with the initial dose over 30 minutes. About 30 minutes. If you do 25 minutes, it's fine, or 35 minutes, it's okay. And what you're going to find is that the treatment is going to create a massive amount of bubbles in your sump. So remember, you're going to start with the initial dose, which is 1 milliliter per 10 gallons of actual water volume of your system. Before you start dosing, I recommend turning your skimmer valves down 2 full turns. So I turn my valve down 2 full turns. That's gonna drop your water column within your skimmer, and just let the bubbles flow back into the sump. All right, once the initial treatment is done after 30 minutes, you're going to wait 45 minutes and do your first booster dose. That's in 45 minutes after your first initial treatment has already gone into the sump. All right, at this point, we've waited 45 minutes since the initial dose has completely run in, and now we're ready for our first booster of 3. We're going to do 3 booster doses. With 3 booster doses, I have found that that is the most effective treatment for the philasters that are swimming around in your water column looking for more coral to infect. And with 3 boosters done at 45 minutes a piece, apart from each other, then you're going to have about 99% removal of the phylasters out of your water column. Remember, phylasters are what cause coral RTN, so you want to get them out of your water column. So here I have my first booster dose, and with the booster doses, we do not dilute them and drip them in. We just go ahead and dump them into the sump straight out. And that's the first at 45 minutes after the initial dose has gone in. The second one will be 45 minutes later, and the third one will be 45 minutes after that. It's been 45 minutes since I administered the first booster dose. The booster doses are either 20 to 25% of your initial dose. So if your initial dose was 10 milliliters, you want to be adding about 2 to 2.5 milliliters for your booster doses. I already did the first booster dose. I'm about to do the second booster dose. In 45 minutes, we'll do our third and final booster dose of 20 to 25% of Prime Coral Prevent RTN in-tank treatment. Okay, 45 minutes has elapsed since our second booster dose. We're ready for our third and final booster dose of Prime Coral Prevent RTN in-tank treatment. And again, the 3 booster doses, there are instructions to follow. And generally, we request for your first time that you start with a 10% of your initial dose, and then you work your way up after that to 20 and then 25% of the initial dose for your booster doses. So once again, if the initial dose is 10 milliliters for 100 gallons of actual tank water, your first booster dose will be your first booster dose that you do will be 1 milliliter. And then the next time you do your treatment and you get to the first booster dose, you bump it up to 2 milliliters or 20%. And by the time you do your third treatment with boosters, you're going to be up at about 25%. This way the fish have a chance to recover, and they do fine. They won't die as long as they're not sick. So we're going to go ahead and do our third and final booster dose of, in my case, 25%. And this is, for me, a maintenance dose for my system. I do this twice a week because I buy a lot of coral and I don't want to introduce any phylasters. I do know that some of the coral I buy comes with the parasites because people have it in their systems that I buy coral from. And I'm not too concerned about it at this point because I have a very effective way of treating it. All right, and that's our third and final booster dose for our maintenance program of 25% of the initial dose. And you do those 45 minutes apart, and that is what I have found to be the most effective way to use the Prime Coral Prevent RTN in-tank treatment. If you have any questions, go ahead and private message me.